Welcome to the Cabrera Lab Podcast.
Hey.
Hello.
How you doing?
Awesome.
Oh, good. You didn't make up a whole fancy word for today. You used a regular word that everybody understands.
Regular word.
You had a weird one a couple of podcasts back.
Fabulous.
So I'm excited because people are really watching and enjoying last week's podcast, which you remember was on increasing, using systems thinking to get better at managing your own self, to-do lists, calendars, taking time for self-care, all those things that people are thinking about, which I told you and people know I also am working on.
Yes.
So it occurred to me that a nice follow-up to that is the other thing I've been working on, which is integrity.
Oh.
And I don't just mean integrity across relationships with others, relationship with myself, holding myself to certain standards, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So integrity is one of my favorite culture codes of the. We have a culture code for our lab, our research lab, which is 21 different kind of tenets or something like that. And integrity is probably one of the most important. It's deeply part of character and character development and things like that. And for me, integrity is really simple. And I think many times just keeping it simple is what allows you to really understand it and kind of reduce it to practice. So to me, integrity is that there's alignment. So this typically means alignment, like parallelism, between what you say and what you do. So we'll make an arrow like that.
Artwork.
Right? So your words and what you say and what you do is in alignment. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's really incredibly important because that means that you actually have two variables that you can work on in the relationship. You can work on what you do matching what you say. So you can work this way, meaning you've said something, so do it. But you can also work this way, which is don't say things that you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people get in trouble by saying things and not doing them. Not trouble, but they get themselves in a lack of integrity by saying something and then not doing it.
Yes, and that's pretty common.
That's very common. Yeah. But the other direction is that you don't say it.
Right.
That you don't say you're going to do something.
Right.
And then you don't have to do it.
Right, but that ties into what we were talking about self-management, which is, and I got into this problem when I was younger, where I thought I should say yes to everything.
Right.
Because I wanted to be helpful, and I thought, that was who I was, is I was agreeable and helpful for everything. I mean,
totally.
I'm still a lovely person.
So agreeable.
But I'm not disagreeable. But anyway, so I would overpromise, overcommit myself. And so then my integrity was impacted because it was more than I could actually do.
It's more than you can do. And a lot of people that tend towards wanting to always say yes or something like that, they get in integrity problems, not because they're not doing a lot, not because they're not doing many of the things that they're saying, but because they're saying more things than they can possibly do.
Right.
And so, and sometimes I think mostly we look at the integrity going just one direction, which is I said I'd do this, so I need to do this, or I said I would do this and I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But there's also tremendous boundaries. I mean, all boundaries is here. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. I don't want to do that. I am not going to make that in time. I'm not going to hit that deadline. There's multiple ways of saying why or what or how you're not going to do something, but that's a huge option for folks in terms of having integrity.
Well, that's interesting because sometimes when you're working in a high pressure or even a startup kind of organization, we have these moments where there are so many things that seem urgent and important at the same time that you have to actually, one way to have integrity is for me to say, okay, I can put this on my list, but that means this has to move. Rather than saying yes, 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 which is impossible. Mm-hmm. I would not be able to fulfill that. So it's about what's the word? Being aware of the reality of your situation and making that moment of integrity part of your culture, your behaviors, right? And so what's interesting is there's this way and that way. Mm-hmm. And I think the other problem is people think of integrity as you either have it or you don't. And you're saying it's a behavior. It's
a behavior, and it's certainly something you can practice. It's a skill you can develop. And the other bit I would say is a lot of folks, I think, would think of integrity as kind of an interaction between two people, right? Or two, people in an organization, or two groups or whatever. But I actually see the interaction as being a relationship with yourself. Oh. That you want to know, that you feel good about yourself. You like yourself when what you say matches what you do, and vice versa. Right? That you so integrity is this. The reason it has to do with character is because integrity is this thing that it's like what you do when nobody's watching. And those are kind of character type things. What you do when nobody's watching. Do you do a good job? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you follow through? All these kinds of things are relationship with yourself.
Which is interesting because I think a lot of people would think it's an externally facing thing.
Right.
But it's an internal ethic that you have, which actually has an effect on your external
huge effect.
Relationships.
It's like a very simple rule, a simple interaction rule, in a sense, that has huge emergent properties in terms of, complex adaptive systems and stuff like that. If you have integrity, it just has cascading impact on your life. Yeah. Obviously it builds trust and all kinds of, it does all kinds of things for relationships with others, but it fundamentally starts as a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Like when I lack integrity, it bugs me. Like I don't apologize for it because I'm bothered by it.
Yeah.
I'm pre-bothered by it. And sometimes I'll say pre-apologize by not doing it in the first place. So if you're going to end up having to say sorry, then pre-apologize by not doing it in the first place.
So if I'm listening to this, what does that require? How do I get to that point?
Well, practice. Again, it's like we have to see these things. You brought up something really important. We have this like this idea that people are born a certain way, and we have obviously we're born with personality and all kinds of things, but we're not a blank slate. But all of these skills, all of these things that we think of as like immutable characteristics are massively adaptable and massively mutable. And so all you have to do is decide, I'm going to work on the skill of integrity, right? And so like if I said to you, how would you get better at, shooting 3 free throws from the, basketball? You'd say, well, I'd practice shooting free throws.
Yeah.
But how do I get better at integrity? Oh, I just don't have integrity. No, you practice integrity. You practice it, and you get good at it, and it becomes your default.
Right. Meaning, so I guess.
But first, you have to know what it is, and like if you can deconstruct it in this way, then you can know, what are the variables that I have to work with.
Right, and I think I'm a person that has worked very hard on a lot of different things across my lifetime. And one of the things I'd say is kind of universal to that work is bringing these things into my consciousness every day so that I'm constantly reminding myself, integrity is a behavior. Am I doing what I said? Am I saying what I'm checking this piece? Because these two things are important, but what you're saying is the real crux of it is this.
Yeah.
And so to me, systems thinking, metacognition, all of that starts with that purposeful practice to put things in the consciousness and then work on them in the moment.
It starts with a shift in mental model, an awareness, metacognition, a shift in mental model, and then practice of the mental model. So one of the most powerful vehicles of change, of this kind of change, right, is like a dry erase pen or a pen any pen, but dry erase is a really good one because you can put it on, every day you're in the mirror in your bathroom and you can put, what you need is the mental model. So we're giving you the mental model. It's words and action in parallel.
Right.
That's right? And it can go this way and it can go this way.
Right.
And if you have that mental model, and it's a relationship with yourself. So now you have kind of the basic guideposts, but now you just kind of are conceptually aware of it.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're good at it.
Right.
You're just conceptually aware of what it is, this thing called integrity, this skill.
Right.
And now you have to put it to practice. What you can do with a dry erase is just write this little thing on your mirror in your bathroom.
Yes.
And say, I'm going to work on this for 1 week. I'm going to work this week and try to have a streak of 7 days where I say what I do and I do what I say.
Yes. And you're purposely checking in with yourself.
And let's say I do it 10 times and I fall off the horse, I mess up. Okay, get back on the horse and get another 10 reps.
Yeah.
And it's just reps, right? Yeah. Or I sometimes will joke with our students about tattoos.
Do not get tattoos. They're not good for your skin.
They're not good for your skin.
I tell my students this too.
But, literally you can just take this little thing and just put this on your wrist like that. And then, or whatever. Whatever, you can put a rock in your pocket.
Yeah.
Something that's going to remind you that, hey, this is what I'm doing this week.
Yes.
So I just wrote it on my wrist.
Yes.
This is what I'm doing this week. I'm focused on this skill.
Yeah, but also about that, Derek, is I don't think people realize that it's better to focus on one. For a short time, master that, and then go to the next. Because there are moments where, any person who's interested in their own development could think of 10 things they want to work on at any minute.
Totally.
Well, you can't do all 10 at once. So take them one at a time.
Yep.
Get them in the mental model conscious, and then practice it until it feels intuitive.
Yep.
Then you go to the next.
Yeah, I think as a general rule, less is more. Practice, focus, one at a time. You could mix it up a little bit. You could work legs and arms in the same week, kind of thing, right? So you could mix it up and say, okay, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to focus on these 3 things, and you can, so that you don't get bored because sometimes, I feel like I got that one, but then you mess up. So, do it for 3 days, and then maybe you work on trust and, or some other thing.
This might be one of those moments where your brain and my brain are different. So for me, zeroing in on one, I'm sort of this linear.
Yeah, as Andy Gilpin says, I love his definition of the best workout. He's an expert in workouts and stuff, and they ask him, what's the best workout? And he says, the one you'll do.
Right.
So, if your jam is, 7 times 7 days, one thing, great, do that. If it's 2 things over 7 days, split 3.5 and 3.5, great, do that. If it's 3 things, whatever works for you, but I think the bigger point is, don't say, there's 21 things I want to work on myself, and I'm going to try to work on all 21 of them at the same time. Like I said, we have this culture code that I've collected over my entire life of really critical mental models that have to do with kind of like personal development, growth. Personal character, personal growth, all that kind of stuff. And that's our culture code. And some people are better at ones than others. Yeah. And some people need to work on some and not others. And sometimes you have difficulties with some. And, just pick one and work on it. And then you'll start to see, when I get good at 5 of these things, they start having dynamic effects on each other, and you start getting a positive reinforcing feedback loop.
Yes.
Just like if you're bad at 5 of these things, you get a negative reinforcing feedback loop, right? And then you're death spiraling or toilet bowling or something.
Toilet bowling.
Swirling.
Circling the room.
Yeah.
Circling the bowl. What's the saying?
Bowl.
Circling the bowl. But what's interesting about what you just said is, if you remember, last week we were talking about self-management, self-care, to-dos, tasks, all of that. And what's funny is you're going to find that things like integrity So part of my self-management and self-care is I have to have integrity to my goal to set aside time to take care of myself in the ways I want to take care of my fitness, my mental health.
Totally.
This episode is brought to you by STSI, the Systems Thinking Standards Institute.
Yes, super excited to work with STSI, raising the standard for 8 billion systems thinkers, science-based standards, training, the professional systems thinking credential, accreditation for organizations, the systems thinking or thinker toolkit. And so I really encourage folks to go to stsi.pro, take the trainings, get the credentials, get your organization accredited, get the toolkit. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Help us get to 8 billion.
And it's a 501c3 nonprofit.
Don't forget that.
It's a great partner.
So what's interesting to me is this, to me, integrity in some ways underlies a lot of the day-to-day issues that we face as humans.
Totally.
Because we'll negotiate with ourselves, we'll break promises to ourselves.
Yeah, this is happening with you and yourself. That's why I say this is a relationship mostly that starts with yourself, because this can be, even this relationship here can be between you and yourself.
Right.
Right? Like I said I would get up and work out, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And, I said I would, take out the trash, and I didn't. Like it is obviously affecting others in many cases, but a lot of times it's just between you and yourself. And having integrity to your words and actions with yourself is, the starting point of all of it.
But I think that's the hardest part about it, because it's very easy for me to convince me that I'm okay to break my word to myself. It's okay. You're tired. Totally. You did this. You did that. So I think the thing is keeping the unit of analysis to it being an internal thing and holding yourself to account.
Yeah.
Because if you do this, then all of this works, right? Meaning if I have integrity to myself, that's going to affect my personal life. It's going to affect my professional life.
Yep.
Like you.
Your interpersonal and your intrapersonal.
Right.
And your professional.
So then why is it so hard to do?
I mean, it's like, again, this is what I think is, we have a terrible time with this. Mm-hmm. Why is it so hard to do? It's like you would never ask that about any physical skill. You'd never be like, why is it so hard to shot put? Why is it so hard to jump over a 15-foot pole? Right. Like, because it's hard. And you haven't ever practiced it. Like, that's why it's hard. You've never done it before. You haven't practiced it. You haven't made yourself aware of the techniques for doing it.
Yeah.
Of course it's hard. You've never spent a single second of your life trying to be good at it. And we think up to ourselves as if I'm supposed to be good at this thing. No, you're not. You're not supposed to be born with character.
Right.
You're not supposed to be born with all these things. You're not supposed to be born, being able to steeplechase, or whatever it is that's hard. I don't even know what that is, but I'm saying, like, we're constantly doing this to ourselves. We're constantly be like, I don't know why it's so hard. Like, I don't know why I can't just master something that I've never practiced.
Right, but okay, let's step that back further. Your analogy. What's also interesting is if I want to learn a push-up.
Yeah.
If I want to be good at push-ups.
Yep.
And I have to learn what a push-up is. Mm-hmm. So, like, you have to learn. A lot of people don't realize that integrity is a behavioral thing. It's an intrapersonal thing. Yes. It's a behavioral thing.
It has variables, and you can go different directions with those variables. Like, if you don't understand the internal structure of what integrity is, then it's like saying, I want to be able to dribble. I don't even know what dribbling is. Like, what is dribbling? Is dribbling holding the ball and with two hands and bouncing it? Because I can do that.
No, yeah.
Right, that's not dribbling. Dribbling is bouncing the ball like this, and then you have to dribble and move, right? So I got to practice that. Like, just like a kid has to practice all the pieces of that.
Right.
Same thing. The problem is, do we teach this in school? Have you ever had a lesson in integrity in school? Has anybody ever broken it down?
But what we do is punish it.
Yeah.
The absence of it without
100%.
explaining it.
Exactly.
Which is why we get into the problems that we have.
Right. And it's like, I don't even know what this thing is that I'm supposed to be doing, and now I'm getting in trouble for it.
Right. Which is mean we back up and say, here's what it means, here's how you practice it,
right.
Here's how you get good.
So you're not going to get it in school. You're going to get punished for it in life. And if you didn't get it at home for whatever reason, then you're just not going to be exposed to it.
Right.
And then you're like, why is this so hard? Well, it's so hard because nobody's ever told you what it is, and you've never practiced it.
Right.
And I think that I'm saying not just for integrity. It's like for all these things, for thinking, for problem solving, for all these things. We're just supposed to be like naturally good at these things. We're supposed to be have character. We're supposed to know how to build trust. We're supposed to do all these things without ever practicing them.
Well, I actually think that your analogy to fitness, if people can remember that, there's leg day, there's chest day, there's back day, there's character day, brain day, however you want to say it, mental fitness day.
Totally. Don't skip brain day.
Don't skip brain day.
Don't skip brain day.
Important.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
People skip leg day. Don't skip brain day. You shouldn't skip leg day either, but don't skip brain day.
Okay, so what are the benefits of all this?
Of integrity?
Yeah, well, not just, yes, integrity, but also in the broader sense.
There's a term that I use a lot, and I think it's like the highest compliment. Like when somebody says you're a stand-up dude, or you're a stand-up person, he's a stand-up person, It just means something that's like hard to quantify, like you can trust them, they're gonna be there. It's just like it's like a well-rounded good person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think integrity, one of the benefits of integrity is it's kind of at the base of a bunch of other character things.
Yes.
And so it's crucial, it's integral to being a stand-up person.
Yeah.
A person
of your word.
A person of your word, basically.
So you say something,
like you can
people
count
trust.
on that person. You can count on them in umpteen different ways, right? Like you can count on them in so many different ways, like fractally, like from very tiny things to very big things and very important things.
Yes.
A person that you establish a pattern of integrity with is a person that you can count on, and so that's the person you're going to want to be around. It's the person you're going to want to be with. It's the person you're going to want to hire. It's the person you're going to want to, it just has so many benefits. It's like, it just makes everything better. Character type things, high character type things just make all relationships better. I
think that's true, but I do think what you said is dead on, which is integrity really is at the base of a lot of it.
Yeah.
It has so many tentacles into everything else about a person's character. So you think in a personal relationship, like you and I, we're married. When you say you're going to do something,
totally,
I trust and know you're going to do that, and I also trust and know that if something happens and you can't do it, you will tell me, hey, we need to switch this or that. And same for me with you, but that translates into professionally, when we're working with people, they know they can rely on us when we say we're going to do X, Y, Z. So it affects, you remember, professional? Your favorite word?
Does.
It's both professional and personal benefits. Yeah.
And our good friend Dave, who's Special Forces combat vet, he always talks about the Special Forces sometimes use the concept of a clock. Right, where different guys are covering different zones, like the one guy's looking behind and the other guy's looking right and the other guy's looking left and the other guy's looking, and it's like, imagine if integrity breaks down in that moment where you say you're going to watch our back and you don't watch our back, and I found this like in the mountains. It's like you say you're going to be at this trailhead at a certain time and you're not there, and then all kinds of crazy things happen because you're like, oh, they're not here, and you go somewhere else, and then people get lost, or people think that people are lost, and there are so many times in real world crux situations where integrity is everything.
Yes.
Like you say, you're going to get the water right. And, the way you do the water is going to affect whether everybody gets sick. Right? Like it's a huge thing for you to put the right number of drops of iodine in the water. Like you said you would. You said you'd do it right. Like everybody gets sick if you do it the wrong way, kind of thing. And everybody gets hurt if you aren't doing what you said you were going to do. So it is just so basal. It's real. Integrity is one of those basal ones. There's lots of other ones that are kind of higher up in the food chain, but integrity,
it lies at the foundation of all.
It's so foundational.
Yeah.
That I mean, the benefits are like everything, in my opinion. Integrity is how I pick friendships.
Yes.
I mean, it's that important to me.
Well, and I think what's nice about this conversation is it's putting some very clear distinctions on what it actually means.
Yeah.
I like the idea, because I didn't know this early in my life, to think of it as a behavior and to focus on that alignment, right? And putting it in your consciousness to really practice it so that then it's just part of who you are.
Yeah.
In a short time.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not a...
No, I mean, that's another piece that I mean, we kind of hit on it, but it's like if you actually put your mind to practicing these things in earnest and consciously, you can master them very quickly. I love the idea that if you and I go out and throw the javelin for an hour, we're probably better at throwing the javelin than 90% of the planet of people, because nobody goes out and throws the javelin. And if you and I went out with like a good javelin coach for an hour, we'd be better than 99% of the planet at throwing the javelin, because they would give us like some of these pointers.
Right.
Of like they'd give us a mental model of how this thing actually works and how the biomechanics work, and you could mimic some of that. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to be substantively better at any one of these kinds of things than most of the world's population.
Yes.
It just takes like a little effort.
Yes.
And a little practice and a little like purposiveness or like your intentionality.
Yeah. Yeah. Purposeful practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Excellent.
Is that it for today? That was pretty quick.
I don't know. That's up to you.
Oh, yeah. I think that covers integrity, if that was what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a wrap.